know where the treats at.
Is this the passing of the torch, right? Is this what this signifies?
It comes down to that front office and what they feel is most important.
The champ is here. We've touched down from a higher plane. Why you landed here?
We always look forward to that week because it was always intense.
You know that we ain't coming back. We about to.
The man, the myth, the legend, Dante Hall. My favorite player growing up was Dante Hall. I love you guys in the show, but Dante was my guy.
Get to dashing because you done on the warfield.
This episode of Chief Concerns is brought to you by BetOnline.AG. Hey there, Marcus Dash here from Chief Concerns. Just want to comment and say BetOnline is your #1 source for all your sports betting needs. Get the latest odds, lines, and matchup reports for football, baseball, boxing, golf, and much more. BetOnline continues to be the fastest and easiest way to place your wagers, including live betting and your favorite casino and card games available to play right from your phone. Head to the website or use your mobile device to sign up today and get in on the action. Remember to use promo code BELIEVE, BLEAV, for your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Bet online, where the game starts. Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Chief Concerns. I'm Marcus Dash here with legendary tight end Jason Dunn. JD, how we doing, buddy?
What's up, brother? What's going on, man? Sure, we're gonna get into some of these topics today, talking about some Chief stuff. But I'm doing well. Man. We brought this channel up because we're gonna get some good insight into the Chiefs, players' view, talking about just the team, things, that we just deal with. But I'm excited. I'm always excited. Marcus, I'm always excited, man, to get on this thing, man, talk to you, brother. Talk some good football. You know what I mean?
Me too, man.
Always.
And even with the uptick in the videos, the amount of videos we're doing right now, it never gets old seeing you, man. I love it so much. I'm like, I'm going to see JD in 2 hours, getting ready, getting my notes ready.
You're my brother, man. You're my brother. So, that's how that works.
Yes,
that's
sir.
how that works.
Yes, sir. So yeah, like you said, we got a lot of Chief stuff. We've done a pretty good amount talking about Rashee Rice this week, going over what we saw last week in Chicago, but now on New York. But there's still some stuff we got to talk about, some hot topics we seen in the comments this week on the Jawaan Taylor front. And also we're going to talk about the sophomore year of two of our defensive dynamos so far. But we're going to begin with our guy Jawaan Taylor, who you guys have been so boisterous talking about it online in our comments. You guys have done a pretty good job talking about it. And so we're going to
been a lot of opinions. There's been a lot of opinions out there. But go ahead. Yeah.
A lot of opinions, yes, whether you're on the side of he needs to get right or on the side of the NFL, it's a witch hunt. They're just going for Jawaan Taylor kind of thing. So we're going to begin with, so JD had a video of him kind of examining Jawaan Taylor's play during the game as an example. They didn't call a penalty here. So this is just an example of
it. So before we play the video, I just want to kind of, talk a little bit about the premises. So, we've discussed that Jawaan Taylor being targeted, okay, and people are using that word targeted, being picked on, we're saying all these different things. And I think the point that I'm making is, listen, we understand because the first game, they have called it, they have been looking after this guy, then they're going to be flag happy. They really are. And so guess what? The opposing team are going to be ready to be in the ref's ear that he's lined up all sides. Okay. So we can't be so upset and so mad and not objective to seeing that Jawaan may be lined up all sides. That, to me, it doesn't do us any good to scream that they're not calling it for anybody else. If anything, we're screaming that, hey, you know what? Keep it consistent. Not saying that guy is not right, okay, because he is wrong, because he is lined up, then that's where we need to keep it. But we need to hold those things accountable. I think Andy did a great job of doing that when he put this whole mastermind together to put somebody else into the game, line up the same way, and see what they do to call that, right? Well, of course, the other team's not going to scream about it because they're worried about Jawaan. Jawaan's a starting right tackle for us, right? So they're not worried about somebody else lining up. They just know that from week one and so enough, they feel like he's criminal with it, right? So that's all I wanted to say. So go ahead and show the video. So we'll go ahead. We'll address it.
So we're sitting here in the second quarter, 11:56.
Jawaan Taylor, this should be a legal formation. It should be. Okay, the rule is the rule. We understand that. I don't think anybody is arguing against that point of it being the rule is the rule. The problem goes, we're not consistent in enforcing this, not just with him, but with other teams. If you're not consistent with it, then that's a problem with the officiating. Pure and simple.
So JD, you made a great point there in saying that, a penalty is a penalty, and there's a reason why we have rules in the NFL, and there's a reason why we have rules all over the place to kind of keep things in order. And that's not on us, right? Like you kind of made the point there. It's like the NFL has problems with consistency issues. It's not they're just going at Jawaan Taylor. No, they're calling it in certain spots. They're not calling it all over the league, and that's the real thing that I think Andy wants to amplify. It's like you're not calling it for everyone.
Right. And Andy's doing a good job of really addressing the inconsistency with the NFL officiating. Okay. I think that's the important part. And so if you're calling out the referees and the NFL officiating for being incompetency, then that goes into the bigger picture of like, hey, listen, if we're going to make this a thing, okay, as it is a thing, and it is a rule, we understand what the rules are, we're going to play within the rules, fine. No problem with that. We don't have no problem with playing within the confines of the rules or what the rules are. But when you do that, you make sure that you're calling everybody for this as well. Okay? You can't have one crew come in, all of a sudden they're calling things just for our guy. You got to do it all the way consistently across the board. Matter of fact, y'all need to be up in New York talking and discussing these things on a weekly basis that we are going to emphasize, making sure that each tackle is lined up the right way. And the thing is, look, hey, don't take what I'm saying. Don't take from what we're saying about this, because we're being truthful about it. I want you to listen to somebody else. I think we have somebody else up here that's making a point of what we're saying.
Yeah, here's Jawaan Taylor on if he feels like he's being targeted.
Do you feel like you're being picked on personally, or officials are looking at your game versus other guys differently?
I wouldn't say picked on. Definitely, I know I definitely got to clean it up, so I wouldn't just blame the officials. So no.
Do you watch a lot of other games?
Oh yeah, I watch a lot of film. Yeah.
I mean, do you pay attention to the other offensive tackles too, and where they're lining up?
Sometimes not really. I just worry about myself and helping my team win, honestly.
That was our friend Aaron Ladd from KSHB. JD, it sounds pretty much like what you've been saying all along since going back to week one when this targeting stuff first started to come on. It seems like Jawaan Taylor's right with you on this whole thing that he needs to fix it.
Yeah, look, I even put a tweet out saying, hey, man, you keep doing it until they call it, big fella. You keep doing it until they call it. And so they called it. So now it's like, all right, well, shoot, now you caught. They're calling it now. Now it's time to clean it up, like he said. Now it is. Now it's time to clean it up. And so to me, that's what a pro is. That's what a professional football player should be. And so when a guy understands that there's things that he needs to do to get better, he addresses it. That's exactly what he should do. Because what that does is makes not only him better, but it makes the entire team better. See, because the way I look at it, the Chiefs have a high standard, okay? And make no mistake about it. We're not going to play in the dirt, in the mud with everybody else, okay? We're Super Bowl champs, and we're Super Bowl champs for a reason. And I think because of who we are, the organization, guys being professional, and it goes across the board, Jawaan Taylor's like, look, I put that onus on me. And so I commend him for that. That's exactly what it should do. As a player, that's what we do. We can't keep crying about, okay, they pick it on me. But okay, there's some things, as everybody should do. We should be able to clean our own house. So I do. I commend that. I look at him as somebody who has a lot of integrity in saying those things, and I agree with it. So that's why, to me, Jawaan Taylor, just with those answers that he made in himself, and I'm a huge fan, because that's exactly where we should go as players and as people as well. But also too, keep raising high hell if they're not calling it for other teams. Okay, and we should be on the sideline anytime we see an opposing team tackle backed up doing that. We should be in that ref's ear as well. We should be calling it out, hey, what's going on? Watch this guy. He's off, he's off sides. He's getting a false start. He's sitting in the backfield. We should be that team, the opposing team, that's there in that ref's ear, making sure he's making those calls. So,
yeah, I know a lot of fans, like in our comments this week, they bring up Philadelphia, Lane Johnson, and my retort is, Lane Johnson's doing it. And if you look across the league, I think after our game, I saw everyone was just taking screenshots of other team games on Sunday, saying, "Hey, look at this guy, look at this tackle, they're off." And you're right, but we can't really control it. Andy Reid can't control it, but what we can control is Jawaan Taylor's alignment and our offensive line's alignment. So let's control what we can control. Andy can talk to him about this, and then once Andy gets him right, and the kind of what we talked about in our postgame show, overcorrect the issue so much so that we can call out other teams' tackles. Look, he's not aligned properly, and if they're not doing it, then they're going to have to. If we're playing by the rules, then we can call out other teams are doing it. So it's let's control what we can control, and that's Andy hopefully getting Jawaan Taylor to correct it. And it sounds based on that soundbite, he knows he's wrong.
Right, bottom line. And the thing is, we could take that little iPad that they have on the sideline and go straight to the ref look, you see this guy? This is what he's been doing all this time. I want you to watch what he's doing, okay? And he's criminal with it. Lane Johnson's been criminal with it. I don't understand why they're not making that call, but they need to. And somebody needs, like I said, needs to be raising all type of sand about why they're not calling it on him. And I think we all on the same page. And now hopefully that's as fans, that's where we are with it as well. Okay. But yeah. But I will say this, and I think you got another picture on this as well. I know we're taking kind of a long time about it, but we talk. But part of addressing this issue is look how far back Trey Smith is. Okay. I was noticing somebody Trey is back there. Look where Donovan's lined up. Donovan and Trey are almost lined up on the same level. So what Trey backing up, that makes Jawaan back up even further. So I think sometimes it ain't Jawaan in itself, but also too helping Trey out. Hey Trey, man, move up just a little bit, okay? Or Jawaan that needs to know he can't line himself up on Trey, okay? He needs to know that Trey sits back a little bit further than what he does in that, and it's just that awareness, So we want to make sure we're clean all the way across. We don't want to hear nothing from nobody. We don't want to see no flags. We don't want to see no touchdowns taken off the board. We don't want to see any of that, okay? Because the thing is, we got so many people out here screaming about all the Chiefs. They get all the calls. The referees are on our side. Well, we know they're not, for one. But also, two, the referees are thinking, man, the Chiefs are getting everything. We need to make some more calls on our side. So it's a catch-22. We're never going to get whatever we want to get. The thing we can only do is control ourselves. That's it. That's all we need to do is control what we can control, like you said, and make sure we move forward from that point. Bottom line. So, yeah.
So, talk about Lane Johnson specifically. I know everyone keeps going to that example, just because he gets praised for his, get-offs and just but is there something to in the NBA, superstars get those calls, like Giannis, if he goes to the lane, and he may get touched or breathed on. He's going to get a foul call. Does that similar stuff go on in the NFL? With this, for example, would you say that's a superstar call because Lane Johnson is more of a household name than Jawaan Taylor? No,
I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't say that at all. I think sometimes what they're doing, and I see why Lane is jumping. I see why he's actually getting the jump on it. If you watch the right guard, okay, and what they've been doing over the past years is, for almost a silent count and whatnot, the right guard will indicate to the center when the quarterback is ready to receive the ball. And so Lane can see that outside his eyes. He can't see the ball. He can't see the center. So he does it all based off of the guard right beside him. So when you see the guard turn around and come back and does like this, that's when Lane goes. That's the movement he sees. And so he's thinking, and they're thinking, well, when the guard does this, the ball's being snapped and Lane's being snapped at the same time, but actually Lane is a lot faster than when the ball is coming out. The center is coming out. You follow me?
Yep.
So the center is actually coming back slower on his reaction because he got to bring the ball up. Lane sees this, the movement, or maybe the turn of the guard coming back around, indicating that the quarterback is ready, and he knows this is coming out next to indicate snap the ball. Well, Lane is on that one as opposed to the snap of the ball from the center. So if somebody goes in details and let these official knows, like, look, he's snapping off what the guard is doing. He's not snapping off the ball from when the center snaps it. He's doing it from the guard. They'll call it each and every time. They would. They would.
For example, Monday night, is Todd Bowles not telling them, hey, look at the right tackle? I mean, he's moving faster than the ball sending. I mean, like, you think Todd Bowles, that's a seasoned veteran coach. I mean, you think he'd be all over that, just like the way the last few teams have been all over Jawaan Taylor. You feel like Lane Johnson would be a guy that everyone's kind of like pinpointed on his fast get off.
I don't know. I'm sure they've said it. I'm sure they have said it. My thing is, I'd make the case like, hey, he's going off of the guard doing that. He's a lot faster. I know it's hard to tell in real time with a naked eye, but he is actually offsides. He is false starting, okay, and y'all should call it. So I would be in their ear each and every time. I'm like, watch it. Watch when the guard does this. Lane's going. It's not off the center based off the snap. I know you think the snap and everything is happening all simultaneously, but it's not. Lane is actually a lot faster than the snap is coming off, which in a sense is offsides, which it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So hopefully, at least talking about just us and cleaning up our house. Hopefully, our house is, when we get into Sunday night, hopefully we're gonna be playing on the road in MetLife. Hopefully, it's
right. Hey man, spotless. That's what we looking on. Spotless. Okay. Like I said, as Chiefs fans and everybody, man, we have a higher standard than everybody else. Okay. Everybody's gonna be targeting and looking at us, thinking we're getting the calls and whatnot. They're always going to scream that. They're always going to scream it. I don't want us getting to the point where we're not objective in, what we're saying and thinking he's right. And then Jawaan Taylor doesn't work on something that he thinks he's not wrong on. Right. So, but we know that he said it himself. So, I trust that. I do. I trust that. Yeah. So that's what championship teams do.
And I feel like he's kind of like, I know he wasn't on our Super Bowl team last year, but like, that response right there, I mean, he could easily play the woe is me card, like, oh man, they're targeting me kind of thing. That's that's a championship response right there. That's a gamer right there.
That's exactly how it works. That's how it works. Yeah. All right, let's move on to something else, man. I'm ready to. We don't. Yeah, we covered this enough. Right?
I feel like Jawaan Taylor's gonna be the story of the year, man. It's Taylor Swift and Jawaan Taylor. It's the Jawaan Taylor. Jawaan Taylor Swift right there, JD.
Yeah. Now I think he's good now because he's gonna clean it up. So I'm not worried about him anymore. Yeah. Right. Let's get these daggone officials right. That's what we need to do.
That's true. All right. So from Jawaan Taylor, we're gonna talk about our defense. So I think it's as of right now, the 2022 NFL draft will be one draft that we'll remember for a long time. Obviously, with the amount of picks we got from the Tyreek Hill deal, but two of those guys are continuing to show why they were picked so high. Through 3 weeks of the season, Chiefs DB Trent McDuffie is PFF's highest rated defensive back in the NFL, leading the team in tackles with 16 and forced fumbles with 2. And edge rusher George Karlaftis, our guy, George the Animal, has 2 sacks and is 6th in the league with 16 pressures. And now this is the interesting part. His 16 pressures are only behind Aiden Hutchinson, Max Crosby, TJ Watt, Myles Garrett, and Micah Parsons. Which I think is just wild that he's up there with those guys. I mean, because those are premier edge rushers in the league. My question to you, JD. Obviously, there's a lot that has stood out. I mean, talking about those numbers for both these guys, but what has surprised you the most so far in this sophomore season for both these guys?
What has surprised me? Maybe the strides that McDuffie has made as fast as he has. Just adjusting to the speed of the game in the NFL, and maybe I was expecting that because of last year. He missed a couple games because he was hurt, and he comes in a little bit later, but he caught up to it. I seen his talent in college. When you look at the film, man, he jumps off the board. You see it. You see why he was picked so high because of his cover skills. Him just being in like the low center of gravity, him being in the guy, manned up. But what more importantly, I like about McDuffie, he's almost a sure tackler. I've seen him come up, man. You talking leading tackle on the game, and sometimes when you see corners or safeties being lead tacklers, you don't want those guys to be the lead tackler because it means something's going wrong up front. Okay, somebody not doing their job on the D line and linebackers that it gets to the second or third level. But what I see is he's recognizing plays. He's recognizing and he's coming up and he's making them. Man, I forgot what it was, but I can't remember what play it was, but he made a play in the game. I was just like, whoa, my goodness. Like, how did he get down there in the box that fast, as a corner to come up there and make the play? Because it was like they almost ran a blitz, a little pressure from the outside. I think Trent could come from the outside, but McDuffie filled the lane like a linebacker. And it was almost like any other corner would have set back 5 or 10 yards to try to make that play, maybe 7 yards. He's right up there 2 or 3 yards making the play. And I was just like, that's tough to see a corner come do that. That's a guy that knows and recognizes what the scheme is, okay? That's great awareness from him, which is a rarity for a corner to come up there and make plays and actually want to tackle. So he's been phenomenal, man, these past 3 games. He has. He's got that swagger. He's got that about him, the confidence. And I told you this before, the very first game, it looked like he wanted to be the best. I think in his mind, he's pushing to be the best. And I think once he got to the understanding and figuring things out, he's like, oh, yeah, I can play with these guys. Okay? Not only can I play with these guys, but I'm going to be the best when I come out here to come play. So that in itself with McDuffie. So what do you think about that? What do you think about McDuffie himself?
I agree. I mean, he's one of those guys that and it's cut from the same cloth as a L'Jarius Sneed type, where you can kind of Swiss Army enough where you can kind of put him all over the field. And Spags loves these like utility type players where you can play him in the box, you can play him in nickel, you can play him in the slot, you can play him guarding your number one corner. You can do it all, and I think it's one of those things where Sneed kind of caught on pretty fast with that, and he was a late round pick. But like, it's not really, you don't see those type of guys that often, and to have 2 of those guys on the same team, I think McDuffie's good, taking a lot from what he's learned from Sneed so far, but also like putting his own little flair to it. Yeah, because You're right. He makes plays that you're just not expecting, and at this point, you're like, you have to expect it with him now. And yeah, he's been everything we've wanted and more.
I tell you what, I can almost see Spags also telling him, man, like you could be one of the best to ever coach. He's probably telling him that too, and so I'm sure Spags is holding him up. I'm guaranteed he's motivating him to say, hey, look, man, like you're a hell of a player. Okay, maybe considered a small guy and stuff like that. He said, but shit, the way that you play is incredible. I didn't mean to cuss on it, like it, but he's, I'm sure he's saying those things, like, daggone. But that's I can see that. I can see him talking about McDuffie that way. Mm-hmm. Now, going to George, the animal Karlaftis, okay? Now, he's 6th in pressures. That is surprising. That is surprising because we talking about he's in a league with some heavy dudes. Yeah. Dudes who've been doing it for a while, just doing it at a high level. And so I think this is kind of honoring, paying some homage to the work that he did with Tamba Hali. Okay? Tamba helped him out, and he says so much. He says it so, like, look, Tamba helped me out, coming out there working with me. And you could see it where Tamba, his passion about the game and the excitement and the things he's giving to him, he's letting him understand how do you attack these guys, how you approach things in a game. And George is just, he's paying off of it. He's just using his ability and talent that Tamba recognized and saying, man, these are some things you could do. There's no reason why your name shouldn't be up here with some of the top ones in here in the league. And so he's just been doing that. And I love it. I love the relentless attitude that he has. And so I just want him to keep coming. I want that to translate into more sacks and more sacks, right? And that's the thing about it. So I want to see him right now, man, make it at least a 12-sack season, if not more. So he's right on the trajectory of getting that. He can definitely do it. He's going to be one-on-one with some guys. I think kind of his body type, he seemed like he's a little undersized a little bit. Maybe he doesn't seem as big as TJ Watt. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It just doesn't.
He doesn't have the girth.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the things, because I seen one of the tackles kind of swallow him up a little bit. I'm like, hey, you look a little small. But he's effective. He's like an alley cat, just getting on you. just jumping all over these jokers. And that's what I love, because as long as he has that drive, just that passion, he has just that killer instinct, he's just going to keep making plays. He's just going to keep coming. And it's like the tackle's like, "Dad, God, like, why don't you stop?" And he's like, "Nah, I'm just going to keep coming." And so that's what I want to see from a guy like that, man. Hopefully that translates not just with him, but, to over there to King, Felix, him getting some watching what he's doing. And I think all of this is infectious. It pays off, goes down the line, goes to everybody out there. So he's playing at a high level, man. I'm so happy to see it. I'm so happy to see it, because we talked about this guy. This is the guy that we wanted, wasn't it, Marcus? This is the guy I want to talk about. I'm like, this is the dude that I want here with the Chiefs. And I said, we need a guy like that has a high motor, nonstop, no quit in him, got all heart, and all cojones, and he's coming. We're seeing it. We're seeing it, man. So hats off, man. Shoot.
And this was fresh after the Bengals lost when we talked about it. It was like a month later we started to do pre-draft stuff. We wanted a guy like Hendrickson and Hubbard. We wanted guys like that. And we wanted guys who's nonstop motors, like you're going to keep coming all day long. And we got what we wanted, and that's what he is.
We got what we wanted. And those guys, I'm telling you, for a tackle and tight end, when we're blocking guys like that, those guys are problems. They are a problem, because they just constantly coming. There's just no quitting them. I don't care how much you beat on him, whatever you do, he's just not going to quit. He's not. He don't know what that means. He doesn't know what that means.
What would you say? I mean, we're obviously praising both these guys, but what would you say so far? Something that you kind of want them both to kind of improve on obviously second year guys, there's still plenty of things that they improve on, but what would you say is one big thing that you kind of want to see as the season progresses a little bit, you want to see a little bit more of?
I mean, at this point, what you want to see with these guys is consistency. You just want to make sure it's consistent all the way through, because once you establish that, you have, elite things in you, now you want to make it all the way consistent each and every game. And so I want to see more sacks come out of Karlaftis. I want to see more things come out of McDuffie. I want to see some, interceptions on his side, right? So those are the things that I definitely want to see. And then they'll get to that point, but they're still growing. These guys are still young. I ain't saying they arrived. What we're doing is recognizing the talent that they have, and they've been showing it, thus far. So I hope that just continues. And I think it will.
Yeah. I mean, usually you see the sophomore, what comes to the sophomore year is a sophomore slump. And so far with the sophomores on our team, we had a lot on defense. I don't really see much of that.
Yeah. That tells me these guys are hungry. That tells me their mentality is about getting better, right? And so, yeah, we can't always – everybody, the sophomore slump is not going to be, with everybody, going through that. But, yeah, these guys, man, they've been out there balling. I want to keep seeing it.
Yeah. I couldn't agree more. Yeah, when I saw that he was sixth in pressures behind all those guys, and crazy enough, because I read that list, I read that from 1 to 5. So 1, Aiden Hutchinson has the most. 5th is Micah Parsons, and we hear all these things about Micah Parsons being the possibly the MVP or Defensive Player of the Year, and Karlaftis only has one less pressure than him, 16 to 17 pressures between the two of them. That's just like, man, this is like the fourth edge rusher picked in that draft, and Aiden Hutchinson was the number 1 guy, and then we're talking Karlaftis at the end of the first round. I mean,
so I'll probably ask this later. So, where was this high pressure count, and is any of this like the Chris Jones effect? Does anybody attribute to maybe Chris, or was he doing it before then?
I think he had a lot on Sunday. I think a bulk of it came on Sunday against the Bears.
Yeah, he did a good job. He did a good job, man. Bringing pressure, he did.
I want to say he had 8 on Sunday.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's good.
So yeah,
and
the thing is, he primarily plays on the right tackle. That Karlaftis does, and that right tackle was the only starting guy they had. Who was the only starting guy who wasn't hurt. It was our guy Darnell Wright.
I know it. Gave him some work. Gave the Rook a little work, didn't he?
Yeah,
Gave the Rook a little work.
All right, so we're going to go to our final topic here, our game picks. So Chiefs are traveling to MetLife Stadium. We are a 9.5-point favorite on the road. This game will be, of course, on NBC Sunday Night Football. That means we're going to have a late night on Sunday because our postgame show is going to be at like 1 a.m. This is Mahomes' first game at MetLife Stadium, which I thought was an interesting stat. It never played at MetLife before. Second time playing the Jets. First time was in 2020 when the Chiefs won 35-9. Mahomes threw for 416 yards and 5 touchdowns. Travis Kelce, 8 catches, 109 yards and a touchdown in that game. Obviously, Taylor Swift will be at the game on our betting show on Friday. I've looked at the numbers, but I haven't seen any like prop bets of like how many times will the camera show Taylor Swift if it's going to be over like more than the spread, maybe like over 10.5 times. But
so she is going to be at the game.
Yeah, she's going to be at the game.
How you find that out? What did she say? I don't know.
I think Jordan Schultz tweeted it online. A bunch of people tweeted it online. And apparently Jason Kelce is going to be at the game as well. After his game, he's flying up to New York to watch his brother play on primetime.
Oh wow!
And I guess that's where he's going to meet her potentially. So big time for the Kelce family. They're having a ball right now.
Having a ball, man. Yeah, having a ball. Good for them. Good for them.
Yeah. So 9.5-point spread. This team is just, the Jets since week one, since that fourth play of week one, they've been kind of just sputtering out of control. There's a lot of like kind of things going on in the locker room. Rodgers is telling the guys to grow up, to not like point fingers at people. So there's a lot going on. Second week in a row, we're playing a team that's going through some turmoil. But 9.5-point favorite on the road. It's such a big number, especially on the road. But JD, who do you have, and what is your predicted score?
So it's going to be a good battle for us. Okay, we were talking about the young receivers going out there and battling against a good defense, tight ends, and just for our whole offensive line, everybody. They're going to be hungry. They got some boys up front. They got some dogs up front. They got C.J. Mosley, who's doing a tremendous job, and then we know we got Sauce Gardner on the outside. So that's the thing about it. That's going to be a good challenge for our offense. And then, of course, I go on the defensive side of the ball. The thing is, we got to keep losing teams losing. You got to keep bringing pressure on Zach Wilson. They got a very talented backfield in Breece Hall, and also Dalvin Cook. Outside, they got Wilson. On the outside, Lazard comes in, does a couple of different plays. Conklin does well as a tight end. But I think we can handle those guys pretty well. We just can't get the running game going. And I've seen, actually, Zach Wilson have like a good series against New England where he was getting the ball out quick. And he gets into a rhythm of doing things. And he's getting better every game. That's the thing about it. He's getting a little bit better. Now, I'm sure they're going to try to build on what he was doing in that game, or at least that series, saying, look, you got into a rhythm. Those things like that is going to help us out. So as long as we keep his feet moving, because once you get him out of the pocket, he's horrible. He's horrible. Okay. But 9.5 favorite, MetLife. And I'm looking at, I've been looking at this number for a long time. Maybe this was the week for this to happen. So I've got 31, okay? 31-17. 31-17. I think that's what it's going to be, okay? Because the Jet fans are going to be all over them. We just can't let them get the ball, get them running and stuff like that at all. But I think you know what? Change that. 31-14. 31-14.
Okay, 31-14. Yeah, I'm looking at the over-under right now. This is probably one of the lowest over-unders we've had in a really long time. Total points for this game is 41.5, JD.
Ooh.
That's very low.
It's low. I got the over on that. I got the over.
So you say 31-14?
31-14. Yeah.
Who has? Do you see a big running game from us, or do you see us testing the tough secondary?
It's going to be the running game is what they're going to try to establish. That's going to be their best bet, because once you try to establish a running game, because they got some guys up front that's going to block too. We got to make sure they don't get Breece Hall going or Dalvin Cook going. And then after that, it opens up the pass. But Garrett Wilson, Conklin, Lazard, those guys are pretty decent receivers. Garrett Wilson, without a doubt, is one of the most elite receivers right now in the game. I love him a lot. He's something else. He's special. He's special. So
he was one of the ones that was pretty pissed off about the play of his quarterback.
Yeah, well, hey, man, he knows. He's like, look, if you ain't got nothing else, throw it to me. You ain't got nothing else going on. I don't care where you go. You look to me to make a play, and I'll go make it for you. So I agree with it. But maybe that's the whole, like, Aaron Rodgers, like, look, stop pointing fingers, stop being immature. We got to try to play within the confines of things. Now, Aaron's like, I'd throw it to you if I was. If I wasn't there, I'd throw it to you, right?
Yeah, that's exactly what it is.
Yeah. But that's what, 31-14. That's what I'm looking at the score.
Yeah, I'm gonna go 28. I was either going to go 31-10 or 28-10. I think it's gonna be under. I think that number's gonna make us want to go over a little bit. But I think it's slightly under. I think our defense is playing so good, and we've played better offenses. That's a good question, actually. Between Justin Fields and Zach Wilson, who's more of a threat?
Just the player in itself? Just the player.
The player in the situation?
Yeah, because I can't, I don't like the offense they run up here in Chicago. Yeah. Justin Fields is a much dangerous quarterback than Zach Wilson, no doubt about it. He's a much better player. So if he's doing something else, he got a different offensive scheme around him, be a different story. So can you imagine Justin Fields up there with the Jets?
I mean, the O-line's still atrocious. He would still have the same kind of issues with the O-line. But yeah, I mean,
but you got Breece Hall. You could do a little bit more of the option with him. Getting around the corner. Heck, and then you got some really good receivers in, Garrett Wilson, Lazard, and Conklin. I mean, shoot, I think he would do a much better job than what we see out of Zach Wilson. Put it that way.
Yeah, no, I agree with you.
And the defense would help him out.
Yep.
Sure, that's big. That's big when your defense bows up and gets you out a couple of certain situations. It helps for a quarterback.
Yeah, it's gonna be a tough time for our offensive line to go against Quinnen Williams. Quinnen Williams is one of the best D tackles in the league. Man, he was one of the ones that reset the market for Chris Jones.
Yeah, right. So that's gonna be. I'm gonna watch that. That's about I'm gonna be watching up front, man. Seriously, because I'm looking for that interior. Our interior has been so. Okay, this is my grade. It's me as coach looking at it. They've been okay. Now, right here, I want to see what they're going to do. I'm going to watch the fits. Then get to the linebackers with C.J. Mosley. Those guys, it's going to be a good challenge for us. I'm telling you, it's going to be a good challenge. Watch that battle up front, man. That's where the game's going to be won. Watch that battle up front because they're going to try to keep Patrick Mahomes from running out the pocket and using his feet. They're going to be bringing some pressure on him. I'm telling you. We got to watch it. We got to protect Patrick this week.
Yeah, that's the one thing they do have is that great defense.
That's right.
Yeah, look at the team total points. So Vegas has Chiefs having 25.5 points. That's the over-under for just the team itself. I think we go over. That's why I'm saying 28-10 or 31-10. But yeah, I think we're gonna have our hands full. This is not an easy defense by any means.
No, and it's like I said, it's going to be a good test for our young wide receivers. Okay, we could talk about you're going against Detroit's secondary and Jacksonville and of course Chicago. You talking about elite guys now across the board from D line, linebackers to secondary. Different deal. So
yeah, it's an elite crop. It's a reason why Aaron wanted to go there in the first place.
Right. Well, but we talked about this. We kind of addressed that in one of the earlier segments and episodes. Is had the offense arrived? We'll find out this week.
That's a good point.
We'll find out this week.
Yeah, you're right. It's probably the first good test we've had on defense so far.
Absolutely. So I'm excited, man. I can't wait to see it. Yeah. Can't wait to talk about it after this win.
The chief concerns after dark.
After dark, baby. Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, that does it for us. Thanks for tuning in to Chief Concerns. We'll see you guys on Friday when we do our single game parlay or same game parlay show. I think I did all right last week. I think the only ones I didn't hit on, well, Yeah, I think I went 2 for 5 again because Cole Kmet's didn't reach his catches and Mahomes didn't get over his yards. Actually, I think I went 3 of 5 last week. So
Yeah. All right. Not bad.
All right, guys. We hope you guys enjoyed the episode. We'll see you guys Friday. Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out the best clips from Chief Concerns. And if you prefer to listen to the show, subscribe and follow us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and anywhere else you get your podcasts.